Hey everyone, it's Holly and I'm sort of back. I'm not 100% sure if I'm like back or whatever, but I could only let wrap up thing go for so long, so I had to do this. So these are the 3 books I've read since my last wrap up. First, I read Fuel the Fire by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is the 3rd book in the Calloway Sisters series, which is a spin-off of the Addicted series. And it is the 2nd and final book for Connor and Rose. And I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it a lot. I like Kiss the Sky just a little bit more. I don't know, I had like a few problems, but they were kind of like minor things, but things that added up. And I don't know, maybe my plan right now is when Long Way Down comes out, so then the Calloway Sisters series will be complete, to do a review of them. So maybe I'll talk about my problems more there. I will say, just in case I don't do that video, this is not a problem, but I don't normally like fan cast in my head. I'm not that kind of person. I sort of picture people, but not real people. But I fan casted Connor in my head, and I feel like it's a weird one. I don't know. I was watching Leverage as per usual, and I feel like I should just try and like put Leverage into all of my videos. You know how like Shannon from Cozy Tea Read says like hi to Ellen in like all of her videos? It'll be me with Leverage. So I don't know why, but I was watching Leverage. I was watching the season 3 finale, and in the finale there's this scene, and Aldous Hodge, who plays Alec Hardison, is in a suit, and he wears a suit fairly often on the show, but for whatever reason, in that moment, what he was doing in that suit, I was like, oh my god, you are Connor Cobalt. So now he's my Connor Cobalt. And the reason I say it's weird is because, I don't know, I don't think it's that weird, but I've been seeing a lot of people get all crazy pants over the Shadowhunters casting, and people being upset that like Luke is black and everything, and it's just like, who cares? So, but because Aldous Hodge is black, I feel like it's kind of weird for some people, I'm sure. But if you've ever seen that man in a suit, he knows how to wear a suit, and he's so like confident and strong, and I just, he would be amazing as Connor. So, love it. Plus, I've talked about before how like Crash Into You by Katie McGarry, I totally thought Isaiah was black, and then the cover came out, and I was like, who's this white guy on the cover? So race means nothing to me in casting. Anyways, long story aside. The next book I read, was a reread. I reread Easy by Tamara Weber. Tamara, I don't know. 5 stars. It's still a favorite. I love this story. It's an amazing new adult novel. I love Jacqueline. I love Lucas. I forgot how much I like Jacqueline as a character. Like, I always remember Lucas. But Jacqueline is just such an amazing female character, and like, I talk about this book a lot, and I say that I feel like people should have to read it when they go to high school or college, because I think it teaches you a lot, which it does. But I think girls should now, like, as I read it more, I feel like girls should read it so that they can get this amazing example of what a young woman can be. Like, she is so multidimensional and just amazing. And then the last book I read was Nevermore by Kelly Cray. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I did like it. I have a few problems. I think it's a little, I don't think the writing is as strong as it could be, but it's super addictive, which is okay with me. I honestly feel like there weren't enough questions answered in this book. Like, I'm going to read the rest of the series, but I kind of wish we had gotten a little bit more, and I'm a little confused about like relationships in the book and everything. I also thought it was kind of insta-lovey, and I'm usually not somebody who even complains about insta-love. Even if it exists, I just justify it in my head as insta-attraction, and I believe that that can exist in the world. It's because it does. But this was definitely insta-lovey. So that was the first week that I didn't make a wrap up, and then for the second week I did finish The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. I do plan on reviewing this soonish. We'll see. I I gave it 4 stars, just like the rest of the books in the series. It wasn't my favorite. I think that's probably Mark of Athena, but I thought it was a perfectly satisfactory conclusion. I kind of thought it was a little bit rushed, and I don't know, I guess I'll talk more about it in my review when I do it. It's mainly like the issues I have with this book are the same issues I've had with the series as a whole, so they weren't like a surprise or anything. And no, the ending didn't bother me at all. I know a lot of people complained about it. I thought it was fine. Then I read The Assassin and the Pirate Lord, right? Yes. By Sarah J. Maas. Right? I think she said Mass like Massachusetts. So, hopefully. Which is the first novella in the Assassin's Blade bind-up. And I had actually planned on doing this last year, and I never did. So I'm doing it now, hopefully. My plan is to read one of these novellas a month, and then when I'm done with that, I will read Heir of Fire. I may not actually read Heir of Fire. I kind of want to reread Throne of Glass. I may or may not reread Crown of Midnight, so that may happen first. But then I will read Heir of Fire, and at that point, the 4th book will be out, which I've held out on Heir of Fire long enough, so I feel like I can hold out on the 1st book, but obviously after I read Heir of Fire, could change. So I did read that first novella. I gave it 4 stars. I did like it. I had a couple problems. I'm not like the biggest fan of Selena. I really want to like her, but she's just a little too arrogant for me. But I really liked Sam, and I thought it was a very well constructed novella. Even when I have issues with characters in these books, Sarah J. Maas is an amazing writer, and I have no faults with that. Then I read I almost hit myself with it. Wouldn't be a video if I didn't do that. And then I read Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson, and this was one of my 15 books to read in 2015. I'm still chucking along on that, and I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I like Amy and Roger's Epic Detour just a little bit more. I cried reading this book, which wasn't a surprise. I fully expected to cry. Parental death, is a cry trigger for me, not trigger, definitely will pull on my emotions. And like this, when it's like the impending death, it's worse. And then I'm like a daddy's girl, so that just makes it even worse. And I cried at work, which I'm not proud of, but I tried to do it like stealthy and pull myself together before I left the cafeteria and went out to work. But it happened. But I did really enjoy this story. I like the characters. I think Morgan Matson writes very gently. Her books don't cause me any stress. I like fast-paced books, but sometimes they're so hard on you emotionally. I don't know if other people feel that way, but they are for me. And her books are just so beautiful and easy to read. Then I read Sweet by Tamara Weber, which is the 3rd book in the Contours of the Heart series, and this is about Boyce and Pearl, who knew Lucas and are from the town he comes from. And I gave it 3 stars. It actually was a little bit of a disappointment. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and I think easy is just so high in my head that it's just almost impossible to reach that bar for me. It wasn't horrible. I've seen some people make some pretty big complaints about it, but it was pretty average for me. Nothing blew me away, nothing surprised me. I actually thought she kind of tried to stuff too much into the book, but I don't have any huge complaints about it. I would probably reread it. I liked the characters. And then I read By Love Unveiled by Sabrina Jeffries, and this is actually a reissue for her. It was a book she had written under a pseudonym, and I'm pretty sure she re-edited this. I don't know. But based on the author note in the front, I think that's what happened. And this is a little different for her, and she even says that. First of all, it takes place in the 1600s. Yes, in the 1600s, shortly after Oliver Cromwell is overthrown, and that's actually a story point in here, is dealing with the aftermath of all of that. And it has a little bit more political intrigue and mystery in it. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was a perfectly average romance novel. It's not my favorite thing ever, but it was okay. Honestly, at this point, I don't remember much about it. I would probably reread it, and I know there's another book in this series. I don't know if I would pick it up. I mean, if I like saw it somewhere, I would buy it because it's Sabrina Jeffries, but then I finally picked up World After by Susan E. I gave this 3 stars. You know, I think I liked it a little bit more than Angel Fall, but this series is just not really for me. I will probably pick up the 3rd book. I can't decide if I should buy it or try and rent it from a library, borrow it from a library. Part of me wants to buy it because I don't plan on getting rid of these books, and I feel like if I'm not going to get rid of them, then I want all of them, and I don't know. I don't understand why people like love this series so much. If you love it, let me know why. I don't think it's horrible. It like doesn't. They talk on the DBSA about books having like crack, and this is not my crack. Like, not at all. And I've totally gotten over the whole like evil angel thing. I mean, that still bothers me, but that didn't hold me back in this book. I think my hugest thing is I don't connect with Penryn, really. And as much as I say I'm going to read the 3rd one, which I will, I don't necessarily want to do it urgently. And the final book I read was another one from my 15 to read in 2015, and that is Bitterblue by Kristen Kishore. And I've read this book in 2 days, which is amazing, because look at this book. I gave it 4 stars. I still think Graceling is my favorite out of the series. One regret, wish I had reread Fire. I didn't think that was going to be as big of a deal, and it wasn't a huge deal, like I was fine, but events from Fire definitely played a role in here, and I think those parts would have been easier for me to comprehend if I had reread Fire. So yeah, if you are like me and you waited a long time to read this, I highly suggest rereading Graceling and Fire. But I did enjoy it. I don't think that these books are for everybody, and I've seen reviews where people say this is really slow, and I agree, but to me, this was a lot like when I initially read Outlander, like the first like 200 or 300 pages of that, where I remember updating on Goodreads and saying like, nothing is happening, but I don't even care. That's kind of how I felt about this. Like, there really wasn't a ton of action-y plot stuff going on, but I enjoy the characters and the world and Kristen Kishore's writing enough to not care about that. Like, this is very much a character story for me. And it follows more like political mystery and intrigue than it does any like action or big things. And I liked Bitterblue. I liked her as a little girl. I like her as an adult. We got some Katza and Poe. There was actually a lot of Poe, which was nice. I thought a lot of things were left unresolved, and I wouldn't be angry if she wrote another book, but I'm actually pretty okay with her ending it the way it was ended. I initially was upset about it, but as I've like sat back and reflected, it makes sense and it like fulfills the promise of the story. I have no idea how long this video is. Hopefully not crazy long, because I don't want to edit a long video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will try and be more consistent with my interactions and my uploading, but no promises at this point. But thank you if you keep watching my videos, however sporadically they come out. Bye!